Hey everyone, I'm Lux. Today I'm going to be covering Diane Downs. Originally born Elizabeth Diane Fredrickson on August 7th, 1955 in Phoenix, Arizona. She grew up there with no real issues except she felt like her mother didn't give her enough attention. She was raised with strict conservative values, so she wasn't allowed to wear makeup or the clothing she wanted. This led her to being bullied in school and she started becoming more rebellious. In high school, she started seeing Steve Downs, which her parents disapproved of, but Diane continued to see him. After high school, she went to Pacific Coast Baptist Bible College in Orange, California, but was expelled for promiscuous behavior after only being there a year. She returned to Arizona and moved back in with her parents. On November 13th, 1973, she married Steve, who was now in the Navy. Diane later said she only married him to escape her parents. They soon had 3 children, Christy Ann in 1974, Cheryl in 1976, and Stephen Daniel, who went by Danny, in 1979. However, Danny was not Steve's son since he had a vasectomy. Diane had seduced a friend in order to get pregnant to make amends for the abortion she had after Cheryl was born. Diane and Steve did not have a good relationship. They regularly argued about money and infidelities, so it was no surprise when they divorced in 1980. Diane and the kids then moved to Oregon. She was not what one would call a good mom. She really had no interest in even being a mom. She would leave them with anyone willing to watch them while she worked or went out. She had gotten a job at the post office in 1981, where she met a man who was married. He claimed he was separated at the time, so they dated for a little while till he realized she was a bit crazy, and he also didn't want kids. Diane wanted to be with him still and started writing tons of letters to him, at least 1 letter a day, so her life was not going the way she was hoping. On the night of May 19th, 1983, she took her 3 kids with her while she visited a friend, and on their way home, she took the longer route. She claimed the kids had asked to sightsee on the way home, even though it was like 10 o'clock at night, so what were you gonna see? She said on the drive, a bushy-haired man flagged her down, so she pulled over to see what he needed, with her kids in the car. Like, okay. When she asked him what he wanted, he told her to get out of the car and that he was taking the car. She actually got out of the car, saying, "You've got to be kidding me." She said he then shot the kids before shooting her in the arm. She pretended to throw the keys to distract him before getting back in the car and racing away. She said she was on her way to the hospital to get help for her kids once they arrived. Unfortunately, Cheryl, who was only 7, was pronounced dead. Christy, 9, had suffered from a stroke, and little 4-year-old Danny was paralyzed from the waist down. During this, Diane had no emotions about what had happened to her children. I get that everyone grieves differently, but 0 emotions after losing one of your children and the other 2 are seriously injured is not what I would imagine a mother's reaction would be. She even had tied a shirt around her own wound, but had done nothing to help her kids while they were bleeding. She was soon brought in for an interview with the police so they could figure out what happened. She told them the story about the man trying to carjack her and the concerns that her back seat was now stained and how was she going to clean it. Your biggest concern right now is how you're going to clean your car. After the interview, she gives them a sketch of the man, and police head out to the crime scene to see if they could find anything. But they weren't able to find much. They found shell casings, but no gun, and the sketch wasn't getting any leads. She had done a couple news interviews, and her story just seemed weird. So police decided to talk to her again. They had her reenact what had happened that night to see if they missed anything, see if maybe she could remember something else. She proceeded to fix her hair and makeup beforehand, that was so important when you're about to walk through the night, you lost one of your children. She's acting like it's just a normal day and nothing horrific had happened. While the reenactment was going on, she accidentally bumped her cast and said, "Oh, this hurts worse than," but stopped herself from finishing the sentence. Police finished it for her, saying, "It hurts worse than when you shot yourself in the arm?" They were not buying her story at all. When asked if she shot them, she said, "If I had, would I not have done a good job of it?" Saying her kids were lucky she wasn't killed so she could drive them to the hospital. After all of this, she got pregnant. And when asked if she was sad about losing her kids since Christy and Danny had been taken away from her since she was still a suspect, she said she misses her kids and kids are just so easy to conceive. Police then take a look at the bloodstains in the car and realize that doesn't quite match her story. She told them the kids had been shot inside of the car, but there was splatter on the outside. They believe that Cheryl had opened the car door to try and get away, and that's when Diane shot her. She told police she didn't own any guns, but when they checked, they found out she had bought a .22 caliber pistol, which happens to match the kind used to shoot the kids. While searching her home, police also found a rifle, even though she had said she didn't own any guns. They were able to collect casings from the .22 at the house, and they matched the ones from the crime scene. A witness soon came forward to say on the night of the shooting, he had actually been on that road and was driving behind her when she claimed to have been speeding to get to the hospital. She was actually driving so slow, his own speedometer wouldn't even register the speed. So after shooting your kids, she drove as slow as the car would go to get to the hospital. Police brought her back in for questioning, where she changed her story and was now saying there were actually 2 men, and they must have known her because they used her name, and then told them that she'd go get the man who did this because she knew who it was. Why? Why wouldn't that be the first thing you told the police after this had happened? If you knew who it was, wouldn't that be like the first thing you told them? Like, go get this person. It makes no sense. During this time, Christy was recovering and was starting to be able to speak again. During therapy, she said she knew who did this to her, but was scared to say. So the therapist said, okay, why don't you write it down, put it in an envelope, and after we'll burn it till maybe one day you're ready to show me. And they do this a few times until Christy is ready to tell her who hurt her. When the therapist looked at the paper, it said my mom. On February 28, 1984, Diane was finally arrested and charged with 1 count of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. During the trial, she was 8 months pregnant, and she used that to her advantage, trying to make people see her as this sweet mother who would never hurt her children. Prosecution showed all of the evidence, even brought in the man that was driving behind her when she was driving super slow, and then the next witness on the stand was Christy. They asked her, do you know who shot Cheryl? And she said yes. When he asked, how do you know? She replied, I watched. She said that night her mom pulled over and got out of the car to grab something from the trunk. When she came back in, she kneeled on the front seat, faced the back, and shot them one by one. The jury came back unanimous with guilty on all counts. 10 days later, she gave birth to a baby girl and then went back to hear her sentence. She was given life plus 50 years. Christy and Danny were adopted by the prosecutor and his wife. The baby was adopted by a loving family that had no intentions of telling her about her birth mom. However, in 1987, Diane escaped prison by scaling an 18-foot razor wire fence. Both adopted parents were terrified she would show up and try to take the kids. The parents of the baby had to tell everyone in their lives who her birth mother was so they could be on the lookout if she showed up. Diane didn't try to contact any of her kids, actually. She went to the home of another inmate's husband that wasn't that far from the prison. Police were able to figure out where she was hiding due to an imprint of a map on a paper in her cell that led straight to the front door of the house. So 10 days later, they were able to take her back into custody. To this day, she maintains her innocence and claims she's looking for her daughter's real killer. All of her parole hearings have been denied, and she will stay behind bars. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like and share it with your friends. Stay safe, and I'll be talking to you next week.